please.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it was about a week ago I shared with the Senate some concerns that I had in terms of potential job loss. We're all focused on jobs, and rightfully we should be, because that is the #1 topic of the day in all of our communities. And I promise you I will not trespass on your time as I did last week. But I do have some updates that I wanted to share with the Senate. I had asked over and over in different settings to receive communications from credible sources about potential job loss, and I have the current to report. This comes from the Compensation Board based on Senate Bill 30. And again, it's just a quick reminder, Senate Bill 30 has a $2 billion reduction, not a $4 billion reduction that I feel certain we're going to be talking about more on the Senate floor. But at least based on a $2 billion reduction, the Compensation Board, and this is the different categories: sheriff's regional jails, a loss of about 1,500 positions, Commonwealth's attorneys, 192. I'm going to round these up just to keep it simple. Around 200 positions in Commonwealth's attorney's office, clerks of court, 300 positions, treasurers, over 700 positions, commissioners of revenue, over 700 positions, and directors of finance, well over 300 positions. So based on Senate Bill 30, which is a $2 billion reduction, not double that, across the Commonwealth, that's almost 4,000 tax-paying, hard-working Virginians that's going to lose jobs based on this budget that we have before us. And I remind you, I feel certain that's only half the amount. To bring it to the state level, and these numbers were provided by the Department of Human Resource Management. These are state positions. During 2008-2009, there was a little over 1,200 layoffs of state employees. Contained in Senate Bill 30, and again, this is based on Governor Kane's $2 billion reduction, there's approximately 2,600 dedicated state workers' jobs who are scheduled to be eliminated in Senate Bill 30. Again, perhaps only half the amount. So, Mr. President and members of the Senate, if you do just a little rounding, and again, I have to, if I get too many digits going, I can't remember any of them, so I do some rounding to try to keep it straight. But if you take just these two reports, the most recent reports that I've received, that's about, you're looking, if the $4 billion comes about, and I pray it doesn't, you're talking over 13,200 Virginians who are going to be put out of work if we cut Governor Kane's existing budget by another $2 billion. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, we're all concerned about jobs, and certainly the governor has focused, using the highest office in this state, on jobs. Today's calendar contains several of the governor's initiatives about creating jobs with tax credits, with offshore drilling, and et cetera. And if you look closely at those votes in committee, it wasn't a clear-cut vote. So I'm going to stand here on the floor and say I supported the governor, and I do support the governor, and I said that to him privately, and I'm living up to it in committee. In terms of his initiatives to create new jobs and to put Virginia at the forefront of bringing jobs to Virginia, I stand squarely with the governor. But, Mr. President, members of the Senate, there are a lot of jobs hanging in the balance in each and every one of our districts as we address this budget. It's been a week since I spoke to you. And last week, when I had my remarks, I did include in there part of what I think is a legitimate request to the chief executive of this state, to the jobs governor. Give us some direction. Give us some ideas
about how we should approach all of these state-supported jobs that we're talking about. There's hundreds and thousands of Virginians, taxpayers, our neighbors, our friends, our constituents. There's thousands of jobs hanging in the balance. We need some direction. So it's been a week since I asked, but I'm going to ask again today. We need some direction. We need some help. This should not even be partisan. And please, let's don't make it a partisan issue. These people whose jobs we're talking about, they could care less whether it's a Democrat or Republican. It's their families, it's their children in college, it's their savings, it's their lives. So I would ask again for all of us to just keep in mind, and I'm going to keep reminding us of this, because these are people. These are people we're talking about. And as I get additional numbers, and at some point I would hope to get all this accumulated, I fear if we go the extra $2 billion cut that's anticipated, I think we're looking well in excess of 50,000 jobs across the state that is state-funded, either state, local, or state employees. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Mr. President,